Good evening, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is the Crawford Box Recap, part of the Crawford Chronicles podcast. I'm one of your hosts, PK, and we have Homer, Chris, and Sweet B Bones Bryles. Fellas, I'm sure y'all feeling pretty good. Finished up with a series tied today, so at least we have that. But other than that, guys, how are y'all doing?
Yeah, man, it was a very, very productive weekend for baseball. The wife and I actually got a chance to get away from the kids. Went to Lake Charles, where the losing started. Um, but then we finished off with a tie for Little League, and then just was kind of hoping that we would salvage the series. The Astros started off 0-2. The offense was anemic, and then all of a sudden the bats wake up, and now we've got a question mark about the starting pitching. But again, enough about that. We will get into that. Browse, how was your weekend?
It was good, man. I've mentioned it a couple times. I got to go to the games on Thursday and Friday. That was a whole lot of fun. I did not go either yesterday or today. So if that tells you anything, we'll talk about that coming up soon. So I guess if the Astros want to hit, then I need to stay my butt at home. So we'll just go from there. Anyway, PK, how was your weekend, bro?
Man, it was good. But before I get into how good my weekend was, Braz, yes, you are banned from going downtown to the stadium. No more.
At least by yourself. At least by yourself.
That's correct. But no, look, it was a great weekend. Astros finished up the series with a win today and yesterday, and then on a personal front, I got engaged last night. So
there we go.
That was really awesome, man. She is fantastic. Her family's great, and it was really cool. Really cool. So pretty pumped about that. But yeah, man, let's get into this. I think like from a bird's eye view, before we kind of break down the last three games, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday game, I think the biggest thing that's giving me a question mark now is our starting pitching, which coming into this season we were feeling really confident about. Now, granted, I know that this is the first start for our rotation, right? I think we got LMJ tomorrow against Boston. So you got through your first four guys. I know it's the first start coming out of spring, but we kind of saw during spring the dominance in their, overall spring, right? From Imai, from Burrows, and from Brown. And I think Javier was the only pitcher to go more than 5 innings, I believe, out of the 4. I know obviously Imai today went 2 2/3. Hunter Brown went 4 2/3 on opening day, and then Burrows might have gone 5, maybe 5, and he went 5 2/3. Right. So I think the Burrows outing was the deepest our starting pitching went into the game. And today you burned through a lot of bullpen arms, like a lot. We're gonna talk about Brian Abreu and what the hell we're gonna do with that at our closer because he struggled. But let's get into Friday's game. Look, you had Burrows making his Astros debut. Super hyped. We were all pumped for that. I know I was super pumped, and he was definitely he was just not in as much command as what we saw during the spring. Right, his final line was 5 2/3. 5 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 6 Ks, but he gave up 2 bombs. And look, Mike Trout had a freaking series, except for today. I don't think he did anything like crazy today. But Bryles, you were there for Thursday to see his bomb. You were there Friday to see his bomb. And he stole some bases, right? He turned back the clock, Mike Trout.
Yeah, like I said, I think this was totally my fault. So Friday, same thing. I was super excited about Mike Burrows being on the mound. There you go. Thank you very much. Because, in spring training, Burrows earned that number 2 spot, man. He looked absolutely electric. When we first heard of the whole transaction, I was kind of surprised, at the whole way that went down, who we traded, all that other kind of stuff. And then after I found out who Mike Burrows was, I was like, man, this guy's got potential, and he showed it in spring. So I was a little disappointed on Friday, obviously, along with every other Astros fan, on kind of how he went about everything. Pitched, didn't exactly perform the way he did in spring, but at the same time, this is his very first performance here. in regular season for the Astros and Daikin. So who knows? Maybe he was working on a couple. He wasn't working on a couple things. What am I talking about? But at the same time, I don't think that he was quite ready for that to be the number 2 guy for the Astros in Daikin Park, sold out stadium, everybody rooting for him. And then, he just had a couple of misses. It wasn't terrible, but he had a couple of misses. And like you said, it turned into 2 different bombs. And yes, I can tell you firsthand, Mike Trout, at least the 2 games I was at, he looked like 25-year-old Mike Trout. He looked like he was in his prime doing all the Mike Trout things. So I don't expect that to continue throughout the entire season. But at the same time, it's a shame that he had to do it against us. You could have waited at least one more series, buddy, to, get back into it and just kind of leave us alone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to look too deep into Burrows' start. I mean, I think a lot of it was nerves, a lot of it of, because it's different when you're playing. I mean, I'll just go ahead and be real, man. When you're playing for Pittsburgh, the expectations aren't very high, right? I mean, so you come into a city, you're coming to a brand new team where the expectations are for this team to be in the mix, for a playoff spot. I mean, so, and then you have him being named the number 2 starter. You have everybody just almost thinking he's the second coming, the way his spring training looked. I mean, so, I think the same thing that we saw with Imai today. I mean, I just think there was probably a lot of nerves, probably pressed a little bit too much, and Browse, I mean, you were a pitching coach back in the day, when you deviate from throwing the ball and trying to aim the ball, the results are not as equal. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go ahead and just choke this up to, it was his first start as an Astro. You got a packed stadium. You got everybody expecting you to come in and be Garrett Cole 2.0 because of the way your spring went. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about it. I think he'll bounce back against Boston. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and after one bad start, oh my God, we lost this trade. I mean, there's no. I mean, if that was the case, we would trade everybody after the first 2 games. We would trade all the hitters. I mean, so. Again, I'm not gonna, look too much into it.
Well, if you read Astros Twitter during any of the games of the weekend, it was a fire sale, and then we were happy, and then it was a fire sale. But look, the Friday night game, and just to quickly beat a dead horse, right? Yes, so much hype around Burrows. Even today, like you said with Imai, what happened on Friday was that I think he got punched in the mouth from the first batter. Neto went up there and swung at the first pitch, and he hit. I think he hit a double. Trout had a bloop out in the center field, right? I think the first 3 hits aside, because so Neto's hit had a 0.1% chance of being a hit, and it ended up, going off the wall. I mean, it was just a kind of a bloop that just kind of flew out there. Trout's was a jam shot bloop. I think there was another bloop in that inning too, right? So you had that quick punch in the mouth, right? I'm sure he was not expecting to get that first pitch jumped on, right? And then it just kind of sets the wheels in motion for, kind of refocus. And he didn't, but I think it's a lot of nerves. I mean, look, Chris, perfect example of when you're pitching for Pittsburgh, or, you're not expected. You're the prospect, you're a prospect. We know what caliber of team that we have down here, what we expect from all of our starting pitching. There's a lot of expectations. I'm sure he didn't want to go out there and suck and cost the team the game. I mean, obviously, right? But it's start number 1. I mean, in the bottom half of that inning, you scored a run. I mean, Pena got on, he stole second, right? I think he was still in third, and then Hoppy threw it out to left field, right? And then that's how we scored. We tied the game up. But we had an inning where the Angels had bloop hits and the Astros were hitting balls with exit velos over 100 or 95 up to like Jordan hit 113 miles an hour on the ground, right? That Peraza at second base, there was an inning that had 3 different defensive plays that were incredible by the Angels, right? And the Angels come up and they're hitting bloops and they're getting on base. So it's one of those games where the soft hits are falling for the other team. Astros can't get a base knock. I actually thought that the spot had kept him in a little bit longer than I thought he was going to, because Burrows didn't really have his stuff, so I figured he would pull him after 4. But he tried to go 6. So I was a little bit shocked on that. But Jordan got his first bomb on Friday, which should have been his second bomb of the season, if we're all being honest. But it's only his first one. I mean, it was a good shot. Bryce Matthews had a double, and like I said, Pena stole the base. The thing about Pena is that it's wild that he wasn't ready for opening day, but he was available on day number 2 and did not look like that extra day was actually needed to not be able to play for opening day.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of didn't make sense because we saw him play in the exhibition against the Space Cowboys, and he went deep, didn't he? I mean, like,
yeah. He had a 2-run homer.
Yeah, I mean, so like I thought like the trial period of was he ready to rock and roll was that game against the Space Cowboys, and so I was a little shocked to not see him in the lineup, but then he was in the lineup, and honestly, like I can't remember, was he in the lineup today? Because I know they kind of had a
today he was.
He was in the lineup today.
He was not in on
because I know they had their
he played Friday, off Saturday, played today.
So he didn't play Thursday. He played Friday, then he didn't play yesterday, but then he played today.
That's
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's a Spada just taking it super cautious with him. I mean, honestly, like I would rather him be super cautious than to throw him there opening day. He plays 2 innings and then he's out for 4 months because he damages that finger that was broken even more. I mean, so regardless of if he played or not, I mean, the offense was anemic. I think they're in those first 2 games, my favorite stat, I think they were like 1 for like 19 with runners in scoring position. I mean, so whether he was in the lineup or not, it really didn't matter. But yeah, I mean, like the thing with Burrows is still, I'm like, I don't know if he's like innings wise still considered a prospect. I mean, but again, this is also a kid who doesn't even have a full major league season under his belt. I mean, so then you tack on all the pressure of him supposed to be Garrett Cole 2.0. I mean, so it is what it is. I mean, but hey, the bats woke up yesterday and today, so that's always good. It's like the bats and the starting pitching kind of like change spots.
Yeah. Let's get into Saturday's game. I mean, I was watching bits and pieces of it, but you scored 11 runs in 2 innings. I'm gonna tell you that 8 runs with 2 outs in the 6th inning, and it was capped by like a Jake Myers 2-run 2-out double. Right? It was a pretty incredible inning because I'm gonna be honest with you, once it got to 6-0, I was pretty pissed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was close to turning it off because once I saw it get to 6-0, I was like, man, that might as well be 16-0. And we talked about it last night on the recap. And like I said, I mean, like they're that whole 6th inning where they put up together 8 runs, that reminded me of like old Astros offense where it didn't matter if there was 2 outs and they had a runner on. Like a 5 spot in that inning was like almost kind of like the norm, especially with 2 outs. So, and leading up to that inning, they were kind of teasing you. You get a runner at second, 1 out, and then a strikeout and a pop-up. But yeah, I mean, like for them, the fact that, they came back, they were down 6, they got ahead, and then they pulled away, and then Brian Abreu tried to tie the game with his, the 3-run bomb he gave up. I mean, so, I mean, I know we'll get into today's game too, but like the way that these guys have battled back offensively after, putting themselves in the situation, today's game was a different story. But I mean, like offensively, like you're kind of liking to see, okay, man, all right, these guys got heart. I mean, like they took a couple punches in the mouth for game 1 and game 2. And then now we're starting to see that offense be like, okay, you're going to hit me, then I'm going to hit you with a 4-piece, and see how you like it. I mean, so, all right, Brawls, we're going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Like Thursday and Friday, they looked like they couldn't hit their way out of a wet paper bag. And then just like we were texting back and forth on Saturday, which was some expletive, filled rants on the text thread there. But anyway, it's, we were getting into it. And then all of a sudden, they turned it around with that one huge inning. And that's what I was looking to see. The one thing, though, that I'm still concerned about is if you look at the rotation that the Angels have. It is not like this is just a murderer's row 1 through 5 that they have out of their starting rotation. Now, I think we did find out their bullpen is absolutely terrible. So we can go ahead. We can knock around bullpens, it sounds like, as of right now. But I am a little concerned when they see those starting pitchers on how they perform at the plate. And that was the biggest takeaway I took. But to your point, Chris, they did have a whole lot of heart and a whole lot of hustle when it came to, trying to fight back, get that lead, and hang on to it. And, we fortunately had a big enough lead, even when Abreu came in. The one thing that, we talked about on the recap too is like, why are you putting Abreu in there unless he needed work? But at the same time, closers are built different. These guys are not meant to go in there with a big lead and just get some work in for an inning. You need to get work in for an inning, go do a side bullpen. Go, talk to Brock Amani, say, hey, man, I need you to catch me, give me 35 pitches, whatever the case may be. And then let these other guys that we have, because we've got a decent bullpen right now, guys. So let these other guys go in there, clean it up, maybe give up a run, maybe 2 at the most, call it a day, we go home with a win. But, I totally disagree with what Espada did on Saturday, putting him in like that. It ended up working out in the long run. We won 11-9, but, at the same time, it got your heart racing at the end of the game for sure.
I mean, that's 2, including today, that's 2 outings for Brian Abreu that have not given you the warm and fuzzies on him being a closer. I mean, he goes into that inning 11-6, right? He's up 11-6. He hadn't pitched in 2 days because he didn't need him. He didn't need him on Thursday and Friday. Yes, he's probably getting his work in. And gives up a 3-run bomb, right? And you're like, oh shit. And this is with 2 outs. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like 1 strike away, 2 outs, all that stuff. So, so we'll get into Abreu in a minute. But Tang, he got the win. He actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, he did.
In his 2 innings, 2 1/3 of relief, he looked pretty damn good. So that's good. Matthews is getting a lot of starts, but he's struggling a little bit. But Loperfido, man, when that kid comes in, pinch hits or gets the start, he is taking advantage. He's taking advantage of his opportunities. I mean, like it's. I think at this point, like you'd have to start Loperfido over Matthews.
No, I mean, I agree, man. Like, and I'm big on Matthews, but Loperfido has just come in and is just ran roughshod. I mean, like, again, he's not coming and hitting home runs back and forth. I mean, but even today's game, I mean, he comes up first at bat, boom, single, gets on base. Or actually, no, it was a double.
He turned it into a double.
Yeah, I mean, so this kid has hit the ground running basically once he became an Astro again. I mean, so, and it's just crazy because it's like, man, like, I guess maybe I didn't really understand how much of a spark plug he was for this offense, because at the time they made the trade, blah, 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 we won't get into it. But man, the difference he makes, because I feel like everything has started these last 2 games with Loperfido. And it's just like, man, like I agree. Unless the numbers back up that he can't hit lefty pitching, he's your everyday left fielder, hands down, no discussion. Unless you have a getaway day like today, which is not really a getaway day, where you put Jordan in left field and then I think they had Loperfido in center today.
Center and then left, yes.
All right, so go ahead, Ross. I'll let you go ahead and drool all over your guy now.
Yeah, but and give him his flowers. No, Joey. I'm telling you, man, Joey Lopes. That was my guy, and you were correct about that. I think he got to learn a little bit from Springer when he had his time in Toronto, because that's who he's starting to remind me of. He looks and acts like Springer at this point, except when we had him the first time, he was trying to hit bombs. And why was he trying to hit bombs? Well, that's what he was doing in, the minors. I mean, he set the record for home runs, I think, in like April and May for the Space Cowboys. And then he was still leading them, even when he got called up for like a month. So at that point, he was just trying to hit bombs, but he was striking out all over the place. Now he's not striking out as much. He's got more control at the plate. He's trying to be more of a contact hitter instead of that exit velo, or an exit angles and all the X stats or whatever, trying to hit one out the ballpark. So the fact that he's using his tools, like we said, he's a 5-tool player already, but if he uses that speed, he hits for contact, turns a single into a double, and then is that spark plug, that is exactly what we need. So I know, Chris, Matthews is your guy, and I still think he's got a ton of upside, and I think he's going to actually end up looking really good for the Astros going forward. But at the same time, right now, Joey Lopes is the guy that's kind of getting the party started, and I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, no, I think, today he went 1 for 5 with 2 Ks, but so 2 of those outs, right? He was striking out. I think on one of his pinch hits, but Thursday he had 2 hits, 2 of the 3 hits on Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Walker had the other one, a double late in the game, right? And
man,
Charles, you're right. Get into Walker.
No, I was gonna say, man, and what and it's been 1 series. So, before we crown him the AL MVP. But man, what a great start Christian Walker has come off to. This is the start I feel like he needed to start this season, because I feel like he's seeing the ball better, and maybe it was the fact that him coming into Houston, supposed to be the answer at first base last year. Maybe that made him press so much. You're coming to a brand new team, you got to learn all your teammates. But man, between him and Loperfido, those two have been a breath of fresh air to start this season offensively, when your first 2 games offense was non-existent, and then again, both of them had key hits in the last 2 games. They had key hits today. Man, all I'm saying is that good for Christian Walker.
Well, it's like, I think, coming into the season, we were really amped up about our starting rotation, right? I think we all had a few questions about our bullpen, right? Especially with Hader being down, with Sousa being down, right? You now have Weiss and Roa, that was his first opening day roster, I think, right? The offense, on paper, you knew that it could be a potent offense, and then you go for the first 2 games and you don't see the offense. You see Yiner, swinging that shit. You see Yiner challenging pitches that are at someone's head. And then you have Roddery Munoz challenging a pitch that was down. And then the following inning, you have Altuve, who can't challenge because these 2 clowns burned up your challenges, which that's just a whole nother thing. And I meant to talk about that earlier. But the offense, you scored in the first 2 games 2 runs, right? 2 runs. And then over the weekend, you scored 20 over the weekend, right? It's
a good weekend.
That's a good weekend. Walker had a great weekend. He really did. And I was actually looking up his stats, Chris, when you were saying it, because I was trying to do community college math real quick for the hits and the bats. But
we already found out our community college math does the math.
It also, when we put out the rosters, we put 25 people.
That's what I was referring to. Yeah.
But anyways, hopefully the offense isn't, obviously I don't think you can expect to see 20 runs in 2 games consistently, right? But if you can put up 5 to 7, right, I think, you're looking at winning the majority of those games. Now, the bullpen, as we've seen this weekend, I think it's still a work in progress. Roddery Munoz has not looked good. He has not looked good at all. Abreu, he came in to close today and got lifted today in the closer role. And who comes in? Oh, Brian King. I'm gonna tell you what, dude,
Brian King got saved today.
Blue ball.
I was gonna say, don't
be the closer. Did
look good today.
He should be the closer.
Well,
put Abreu back in the 8th spot. 8th inning.
I don't think they're going to give him the closer spot since he threw 2 innings today. But that bullpen. Right now you have 2 guys out of that bullpen. Brian King has kind of. I didn't get a chance to see his inning today, but I know his last out, and I think he came in on Thursday. That was a little shaky. But right now, outside of King, your 2 guys holding down the bullpen is Blue Ball and Tang, which they're supposed to be, long relievers. But we've talked about it. I mean, I think that as of right now, I mean, you're probably going to have Hader out for at least another month. So, or a month and a half. Why not kick the tires on moving Blue Ball to closer? Let Abreu stay where he's comfortable at the setup role. And I mean, at this point, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, you've seen Abreu get lit up for a 3-run bomb on a game that you're up by 5 runs. He gets lifted today. I was surprised they even sent him back out after because I think he threw like 28 pitches last night. So, yeah, I mean, we're here at the Crawford Chronicles. We're hashtag Blue Ball for closer.
That's what I'm talking about.
And Chris says that as he has Blue Ball on his fantasy baseball team.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
And I have his poster over on my bed.
On the ceiling so he can see it when he closes his eyes.
That's right. I'll make sure he's the first thing I see when I open my eyes.
All right, although we got a few minutes left, man. Let's get into this next series. Boston comes into town for 3 starting tomorrow. You are going to face Ranger Suarez tomorrow.
Oh, I got you.
LMJ, Crochet
Browse,
on.
You want to go ahead and give us the probable pitchers? Watch this. Guess who did their homework?
Yes, sir, I will.
Bam!
All right,
look at that. Look at
Boston
that.
Red Sox coming into town, landing tonight. So Monday for your 7:10 start, you've got our boy Lance McCullers Jr., who's looked way better in spring training than he did last season, against a new acquisition for the Boston Red Sox, Ranger Suarez. You might know him from the Phillies. And then, of course, we got Diesel Hunter Brown coming up on Tuesday against Brian Bello. And then Mike Burrows for his second start on the Wednesday day game against Garrett Crochet. So that's going to be a tough lineup. Boys, what you got?
Oh, okay. So we are officially starting our predictions. Oof. Well, I don't know. That's going to be tough. I mean, I'm going to go Homer Chris. I'm going to go with the Astros sweep. Just to go ahead and go ahead and cement. I'm going to go in with my first pick and go ahead and solidify that last place. I'm going to go.
So you're playing.
I'm going to take over
for third. Got it.
I'm playing for last. I mean, I'm going to take over from Browse, who I think predicted a sweep on 85% of the series. I'm going to go sweep. I mean, I mean, I'm hoping LMJ. I mean, I'm expecting a lot of good things from LMJ because of the fact he's in a contract season now. I do. I mean, again, so I'm thinking, I think Ranger Suarez is a good pitcher, but I mean, we'll see how he does as a Boston Red Sox. And then again, you you can't bet against Hunter Brown. I think Hunter Brown will look a lot cleaner than he did on opening day. And then the big one's going to be Crochet against Mike Burrows. So, at this point, screw it. I'm all in. There's a reason why they call me Homer Chris.
Yeah, that is the reason for sure. I am going to go. I'm going to go 2-1. I think the loss is going to be the Garrett Crochet game, the getaway game. I agree, Chris. It's hard to go against Hunter Brown. I mean, even when he went 4 2/3, he struck out 9. The pitch count got to him on opening day. He was a little bit not commanding his pitches as we're accustomed to, but he still held his own like we always expect him to be. LMJ, couldn't agree more. He's in a contract year. He's had a really good, surprising spring, right? I think it kind of surprised us that he was that number 5 starting pitcher. Ranger Suarez doesn't really scare me. I mean, I know he's a good pitcher, good young pitcher, lefty, but I'm not overly concerned about Suarez. Crochet is going to be a really tough matchup, and Burrows has another opportunity to bounce back and show some of that dominance that he had in the spring. So I'm going 2-1 Houston.
Yeah, PK, I'm going to match you. I'm going to go 2-1 as well. The one thing I will say, the upside on LMJ, he did get his fastball to actually touch 96 in spring training. I know he worked on his fastball the entire offseason, so that is great. I mean, he looked absolutely fantastic in spring, but saying that he looked fantastic in spring doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to translate. I hope it does, but that doesn't necessarily mean that. I think we're going to be able to squeak it out. The way that Suarez pitches, I think the Astros have got a really good lineup against him, so we should be good there. The one concern I did bring up how bad the Angels bullpen was. The Red Sox have a much better bullpen than the Angels. So even though you're knocking out a starter, don't expect it to get a whole lot easier after that. So just keep that in mind. Now that second game, with Hunter Brown, I don't see any reason why we don't win that. We should very easily win that. Brian Bello does not scare me at all and shouldn't scare any of the Astros hitters. So that third one, I think, is going to be the rubber match. It's, or not necessarily the rubber match, I think, because we would already have 2 wins at that point. But Garrett Crochet's a tough customer. I'm not saying we can't beat him. I mean, heck, Paul Skeens was out in the first inning on, opening day. So that doesn't mean that Garrett Crochet can't get knocked around too, right? But at the same time, it's not guaranteed. So that's going to be a very tough game. So hopefully we don't have the getaway day lineup in there where you've got, the end of the bench going up against Garrett Crochet. I hope Espada ends up throwing a really good lineup in there, maybe like, our power lineup where he puts Jordan in left and then puts Paredes, at the DH, and then we'll have Penny back at short and in full strength and go from there. So, but I'm going to go 2-1. I do think that we'll probably end up losing that Crochet game, but I like us for the first 2.
That's what I'm talking about. Realistic picks for that one. But we have to. But look, Chris has to keep his name. He's got to keep his name. So don't forget. It is. We still have the post out there. If you're listening, interact with us. Let us know what a good punishment is. We are keeping track this season of who is terrible at the predictions, and that guy will do the punishment based on what is selected by the listener. So I can't wait for that. But look, we'll be back tomorrow night after the game. I'll be live tweeting it as I always try to do during every game. So Boston's in town, right? Let's get above 500. Let's see LMJ, man. Let's hope he continues how he's been pitching through the spring training, and let's get another series. Let's get a series win, first one of the season. So until then, hope you guys have a great night. We will see y'all tomorrow night. I'm PK, Homer Chris, Subi Bones Bros, and this is the Crawford Chronicles, and you're watching the Crawford Box Recap.
I think LMJ should make espressos for everybody that hits a home run when he starts.
That's what I'm saying. Just like Italy was doing.
Exactly.
I think everybody should think of what I should get when we sweep the Red Sox.
Ooh.